Chappers. I'm Rob Chappers.
I might have broken this guitar. Oh, I love that. That was awesome. That was like,
did you seriously break it?
I don't know. There was a snapping noise going on as I was giving it some
mate.
welly. I think it might just be where I need a bit of oil in the spring. I don't think actually anything bad was happening.
A bit more...
I got carried away.
That was great. That
was brilliant.
A little tune called Phrygian by the Captain.
I don't know. I just literally that kind of. It just. I got a fuzz pedal on the floor by it's a JHS Muffaletta, and it just. I don't know. I just did this. It's really weird. That was inspired largely by a conversation that I had with our Gretsch rep recently.
Yeah.
Who actually was kind of like, what do you think we can do to try and get more people to consider looking at a Gretsch range that perhaps people think Gretsch is all about
cleans and
what's Brian Setzer, Stray Cats kind of rockabilly. That's the word I'm thinking of. You know, like all old Chet Atkins and perhaps more recently rockabilly kind of stuff. And I just sort of.
He said, "I'll spearhead the brand and play some rock on it for you."
No, so all it literally was when I knew we were doing the demo of these guitars, I thought I'm going to get a fuzz pedal. I'm going to try and literally just get the dirtiest, nastiest sound out of the guitar possible and just see where we go.
Yeah.
And it was just like, it's just wicked.
They play really well. Really, really, really well. And what's cool for me is that I have no idea what the prices are.
Okay, so, I mean, no points in the room for everybody that goes, I know who Gretsch are, because, I mean, Gretsch are, you know, they are one of the founding kind of electric guitar brands. And over the years, you've had, for many, many years, they were American-made. And believe it or not, I think in the 80s or late 70s, early 80s, Gretsch went bust and was rescued by a Japanese firm who bought the brand.
I didn't know that.
And moved all of the American production to Japan.
Probably did them a huge favour.
Yeah, I mean, painstaking repros of the American stuff.
Was it Fujigen or?
No, I don't know actually. I genuinely don't know. But all the kind of collectors went, well, it's not American, I'm not interested. But all the players went, these are way better than the American ones in terms of quality.
Right.
And it's still, the top end Gretsch stuff to this day is still Japanese. I don't know if they've been, I think they were purchased by Fender a few years back, or certainly the worldwide sales agreements or whatever are through Fender now. So there's a lot of, internally, a lot of the designers who work on Fender stuff will look at Gretsch stuff and vice versa. And then a few years ago they did Electromatic, which was their first venture into making Korean copies of the Pro range. And being Korean, they were never really cheap. You know, they were, excuse me, a piece of pepper from my lunch has literally just gone down my throat. So Electromatic sat in that kind of, you know, sort of, I don't know, 600 to 1,000, 1,100 kind of mark. And then last year, was it last year or the year before? I can't remember, but we've never reviewed these. But at some point recently, Streamliner came out. And that's what these are. So this is out of Indonesia now.
Right.
So these are all round about the sort of 400-y kind of mark.
That's insane.
In fact,
these feel great.
Maybe if you go to the description section below, I'll put links through, because I know this stuff changes price, you know, a few times every year. So have a look. It's 400-ish.
Loving like how they sound unplugged.
So there's really only 3 models in the Streamliner range. You've got the completely hollow and quite deep. What would you say that was like? 3 or 4 inches.
I'd say it's about 2 inches.
Maybe. Yeah, you're probably right. It's about 9 inches, that, isn't it? No, the thickest one. So more like a Gibson. I don't know, like a 175 kind of depth, that sort of thing. Single cut. Or I guess what you'd call like your old bigger jazz box type guitar.
Yeah.
But with a hardtail, with this beautiful floating sort of bridge system.
It's a clunker.
And then also same guitar, but with a Bigsby.
Nice.
A
Big.
licensed Bigsby. Those are the true hollow ones. Then Rob and I have got the centre block ones. So if you're not familiar with what centre block means, that means that there is a block of spruce that runs down the middle of the guitar that the pickups and the trem system is mounted to, but the wings are hollow. And you've got a...
So I'm just getting some fresh F-hole air.
Yeah, you've got a... I guess what would you class that as, like a
guitar.
A 335 style, although it's a double cut, not a single cut. So maybe it's more like a country gent, I suppose, in fairness. And I've got like a miniature version of it. So the model numbers, in case you're wondering, are 2420, so G2420, and if it's got a T after it, that means it's got the trem system on it. This one is the G2655T, but of course you can get it without.
This is the G2622WS.
That's the WS is the colour, so
right.
It's just the main bit. And as we're talking about these, I'm sure our wonderful editor Rory will put on the screen what different colours they're available in, and some of them are available in left-handed too. And it's just great guitar, they've tried to do a... Gretsch, I think, were probably, I wouldn't say necessarily most famous, but I certainly think that the Filtertron, all that kind of TV Jones and Filtertron pickups that went in Gretsch guitars gave them a characteristic that other brands, Gibsons and Fenders and Rickenbackers and stuff like that just didn't do a Gretsch sound. And these are called Broadtrons, I think, Broadytrons or Broadtrons.
Doesn't really roll off the tongue, does it?
It's not quite so. But then maybe if that had been around in the 50s, maybe we'd have just gone, oh yeah, Broadtrons, they're normal.
They would call it a Broadytron or something.
Yes.
Broadertron.
But they're trying to capture that quite gnarly, dirty sounding, Gretschy kind of tone that when used clean, it's a kind of a nice honky kind of tone, but certainly when it's driven, it really gives it some welly. Licensed Bigsby sort of parts.
What's not to like, really?
Yeah, they're like a laminate maple construction, so again, pretty typical for a semi-acoustic guitar. Now, some of the stuff's not, they're relatively affordable machine heads, and it is a licensed Bigsby trem. It's not the real deal Bigsby sort of thing, and perhaps to a certain extent that's why this one felt a bit more clunky, but you've got to be realistic about the price. Take us through some tones, Rob, on your guitar.
Under your instruction, I am gained.
Good.
But I think I also will just clean up the amp though, and give them a little bit of the non-gain.
Do you want me to do the clean sounds?
All right, yeah, do that. That's a good idea. I'll get back to this. day long.
Mate, that sounds spectacular.
It's really easy to play.
My favourite Gibson 335 of recent years was that olive green Chris Cornell one they did with it was like the Filtertron pickups with the Bigsby. Anyway, so look, I'm playing through a Victory V40 with no pedals now. And as you may have realised, obviously, again, I've gone for the smaller bodied, the 2655, but this time now with this really cool kind of V-shaped, there's no functional reason for this being V-shaped as opposed to straight across. It's just aesthetic. Looks kind of cool. So, neck pickup here, just using a Victory V40, no pedals at the moment. Now, Gretsch guitars have always been a bit weird like this, so you're going, why is this knob over here and then there's knobs over here? It's because we have 2 volumes and a tone and a master volume.
Puppets.
So there is this sort of, what I can do, the only real benefit of having this master volume is I can kind of get a weird blend of the 2 with the volumes set at different levels and then still have an overall master volume control.
Also, it's much more practical to just have an overall control right there next to your playing area, isn't it?
Maybe, I guess.
For like, I mean, like Yngwie Malmsteen violin technique, that kind of thing, you know.
Both together. Bridge pickup. Again, another minor criticism. You can tell the pots on these are, you know, affordable or chosen for their price point because they have that tendency to sort of like do nothing and then go all the way off, which I think I've got to be fair to Gretsch on this side. If you're trying to build guitars that are £300 or £400, you aren't shopping for £10 pots. No. You know, you're shopping for 10p pots sort of thing. So it's fair enough sort of thing. And I guess if you're, and they still do a job, you know, they roll off. They go all the way down, they go all the way up. It's just that in-between bit that's a bit not as even as perhaps on a more expensive guitar. Do you know why? Well, you do know why because we talked about it before we started doing the video, but tell the people why there are no numeric printing on the knobs on the Streamliner.
Old Gretsch thing, apparently, isn't it? Isn't it part of their heritage?
That's what we got told.
We did get told that.
Yes, a man at Gretsch at NAMM last year said,
he went, come here, I got a secret for you, come here.
He didn't really
That's
speak
not
like
how he sounded at all.
But he said apparently really, really old Gretsch guitars just had knobs that didn't have any numbers on them. So that's what...
And why change with society and add numbers that help you work out where you are?
Whoever on their guitar tries to work out where they're...
Hold the song. I'm at number 2. I should be at 3.5. I'm sorry. I'm fine now. Carry on.
Especially when the knobs move anyway around the spindle.
Yeah,
so actually, and it's everything is done by kind of backing it off and your ears just going, yeah, that's about where it needs to be. And so would you expect a big tonal difference between the guitar that Rob's holding and this guitar? Not really. I mean, it's obviously, you know, the physical shape of the guitar is slightly different without getting into the massive argument and, you know, fueling that debate. I'm in the camp that believes if you do change something about the physical properties of the guitar, it probably does change something to do with the sound. Many of you don't agree with me. So some of you may just go, I'd rather have this because it looks more comfortable to hold, or I'd rather have that because I like the more traditional look of it.
You know what I find confusing? It's the reverse polarity inlays, because they're.
What do you mean? Oh, because they're not.
If you look at inlays on any other guitar,
no, they're not. They're on the 5th fret.
Well, no, it's because you start here. See,
it's only because it's the first one.
But I think about it because it starts here. That's where it starts.
Right.
It should. It's like.
Again, I'm not enough of a Gretsch aficionado to know if whether the 1 fret, you know, the 1st fret inlay is.
It's not as if you need to know that's the 1st fret. Really, I mean.
I was thinking that the other day. I was thinking that the other day because when we were talking about just inlays on guitars generally, and people going, "Oh, I need the inlays because, you know, it helps me know where." And I'm just thinking, no, does anybody literally do that while they're playing? Doesn't everyone just look at where the dots are on the side and work it out from there?
Beginners do.
Yeah.
When you're learning to read a guitar as you...
But it's really uncomfortable to kind of lean over and see where the
I'll tell you what,
are,
sure.
Beep, beep, beep,
beep, beep, beep, beep.
beep.
Gent. I'm guessing that the way you heard that was beep, 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 beep. And to be honest with you, that's probably for the best.
You know, you're never going to get any of that if you like this. While you play guitar, you want to be like that.
You want to be
maybe not
throwing
those faces,
your
but
guitar
so.
up and down from its tremolo arm. I'm going to get one of the big ones now.
All right.
Do you want to change guitar?
We'll have a big one each. Give me
big
that,
one each.
You give me that big
Do you want a
black and orange
Bigsby
one.
or a
no.
hardtail?
Yeah.
Hardtail. Right, we're going to play something clean and tasteful.
So I just cannot stop shredding on this Gretsch guitar. This is ridiculous.
That was beautiful. Thank you, Rob, there for just bringing it back in a little bit. There's just a little clean bit going
But
on there.
have you felt the shred in this guitar?
Not that particular one, no. But I mean,
It's
they're just
unbelievable. It's ridiculous.
We should talk a little bit about kind of, you know, the difference between buying a guitar with a hardtail versus a Bigsby. And there is, I would say that's actually probably a much bigger factor in the tone than perhaps necessarily jumping from a big-bodied guitar to a small-bodied guitar. The Bigsby adds I think you lose a bit of the power of the guitar and the sort of the oomph of the guitar. But the one thing I've always liked about the Bigsby tremolo system is I find Fender tremolo systems, I like Fender tremolo systems, but I find them quite sort of rapid, you know, whereas the Bigsby seems to have a sort of, seems like the trem sort of travels more. It's quite subtle.
It's like the opacity of the movement is reduced so that you can put a lot in and get a little bit out, which is a nice effect sometimes because it makes it more subtle.
Certainly, tuning has always been an issue on a Bigsby. If you give it welly. But it's nice, you know.
I always think it's more of an atmospheric trem.
Yes. Okay, so here's the big reason why guitar players will err towards a centre block guitar over a completely hollow guitar like this one, is for this reason. So here I am playing nice and not massively loudly, and I've got a little fuzz pedal on the floor which I was using. I haven't changed the fuzz pedal settings at all from that first jam, and this is what happens as soon as I turn it on.
And what happens if you cover the strings?
So,
what happens if you pray and cover the strings?
Yeah, so I mean, it's basically, the chamber inside is so resonant that as soon as you add heavy gain, and admittedly, you know, this is a pretty heavy fuzz pedal gain. Now, obviously what I can do is just play through the feedback, and that's probably what I would do. So, you know, just do that if I play that same riff. So you can completely play, you can just ignore it, but if you're trying to do anything where there are nice open parts to the tune or whatever, and you need to not play it, it's going to
I mean, I like that because it adds to the sustain of the whole instrument.
That's insane. I mean, yeah, don't get me wrong. Resonance is a good thing that just needs to be tamed depending on what it is that you're trying to do. And if you just unleash it, you get some killer tones.
Yeah.
But it's. I mean, that's why you often see as well. What I probably should say is, lots of semi-acoustic owners will be just going, yeah, but there are ways to dampen that resonance by just stuffing. Like people will put dusters or tea towels and stuff, and they'll just fill the cavity up. Phil McCavity, my best friend from Glasgow.
Was he your dentist?
Yeah. You just stuff all your... And that helps to a certain degree, tone it down. But
So how much is this then?
they're all about the same price. I don't want to say because I'll get it wrong, but they're all round about the 400-ish pound price, I think. For maybe I should cut myself some slack, somewhere between 300 and 500, maybe.
And
but I think around 400.
Does this act as a tremolo too? If I do.
You're in love, aren't you?
It's such a nice guitar to play.
So these are the two big-bodied guitars have what are called floating bridges on them, and that does mean it's an old-fashioned design back from the 50s and probably before. There's nothing holding this bridge to the guitar. This sort of saddle, if you like, set of saddles to the guitar, other than the force of the strings pushing it down. So when you come to restring this guitar and you take all the strings off, the saddle will just fall off. And it's very, very important that when you put it back in, you put it the right way round and you position it where it was, because otherwise your intonation on your guitar is going to be
And I'm guessing
out.
there are markers underneath it that tell you...
No. The only way you know is normally the guitar's less dirty underneath.
You'd go out a bit biro or something.
Well, you'll see it. You'll see where it used to be, but I don't think there are pins or anything holding it in place.
I sensed a tip from Pete then. What were you going to say?
Top tip.
One string at a time.
Yeah, absolutely. If you're restringing the guitar, do it one string at a time. There's a
Pete
man.
Honore knows his tings.
Yeah, because of course when he was touring with Tom Jones, he used to restring his guitar one string at a time, all the time apparently.
Yeah. Is one string at a time another song from Chapman?
It should be. Let's write it if it isn't. One string at a time. Come on, what are you?
One string at a time. No,
that's got to go to a C, isn't it?
One string at a time. She gave me one string at a time. Oh, one string at a time. A G string. One string at a time. Yeah.
Oh, not that string. No, we don't want to see that. The old light switch. I sense we are dragging out this video purely because we're enjoying playing the guitar so much.
I'm really enjoying playing this guitar. I just can't get... It may just be that I'm absolutely fatigued beyond the point.
I think what it is yeah, you're so tired, you've gone into some other dimension.
You know what I love also? A bit of Johnny Cash and this kind of thing. Especially when you hold it like that. But I'm not even kidding. You can tell.
Ring of fire.
You know he did more songs than Ring of Fire. But it's such an easy playing note.
They're great guitars. Look, you know what? We're having fun, so let's pick 2 guitars, jam out. I know we've done loads of jamming.
I
but
picked
what
this
haven't
guitar.
you're going to stay with that one, are you? Give me. I haven't played this red one yet. So
This one?
No, yes, that one.
really
I haven't played
nice.
that yet, and I haven't played one with a hard tail on it.
Well, we're doing a bit of
either.
Yngwie then.
Yeah, for sure. You know, if you want to do Yngwie Clapton.
Hole's a bit low, but I'll have it. So I just cannot stop shredding on this Gretsch guitar. This is ridiculous.
And we're pleased to announce the new Yngwie Malmsteen Gretsch Streamliner Signature Series.
It's a clunker.
Gent.
Come here! I got a secret for you! Come here!
Yeah, maybe, yeah, I guess.
This is Rory from the UK. Tell me about Rory.
So he edits videos. Rory's awesome.